Kaya, everyone, and Wanju, good morning. It's great to see everybody dialing in this morning. Welcome to the 2026 National Reconciliation Week State Government Briefing. Whilst we're waiting for people to tune in this morning, can we encourage you to jump into the chat and let us know who's your mob and where are you from, and in particular what department or GTE you're joining us from today, because we'd love to see the spread of state government departments and GTEs who are tuned in. And so whilst we're just letting a few more people come in and be admitted, please just jump in that chat and let us know who's your mob, where are you from, what department are you tuning in from, what country you're tuning in from today. That'd be wonderful. We're up in Whadjuk country, but we know that we're statewide today, so we'll be having people from right around Western Australia. So thank you so much. It's always great to see a whole diversity of folk joining us. Jump into the chat, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. For those of you who are just joining us, please just jump into the chat and let us know who's your mob, where are you from, which country you're dialing in from, and which government department or GTE you're representing today, please. It's really helpful for us to get a good sense of who's who. We'll be getting going in a couple of minutes once people start, once we've got the whole crew online. Thank you. Thanks everybody for joining. We're looking forward to sharing with you very shortly, but whilst you're waiting and we're just letting people in, if you could just please jump into the chat and let us know who's your mob and where are you from, and also which department you're tuning in from today, because it's really wonderful that we can see a whole diversity of departments and teams. And of course there's GTEs joining us as well. Good to see the Equal Opportunity Commission online. Welcome. Venues West, fantastic. Department of Training Workforce Development, hi Julie, great to see you online. Infrastructure WA, fantastic. Housing and Works, welcome everyone, really great to see you coming on. Public Sector Commission, good morning. Peel Development Commission, fantastic, some of our development commissions in our regions coming. Landgate, welcome, all good friends. Fantastic. So to honour time, folks, we really do know that and appreciate you coming in nice and early. So we're going to get started, and for those of you who are just joining, please, you'll see in the chat we're asking people to tell us who's your mob, where you're from, and also what department or GTE you're dialing in from today. So fantastic to have you all online, and welcome to the 2026 National Reconciliation Week briefing for the state government. It's hard to believe it's this time of the year again. It feels like we've just handed out the reports from last year, so really wonderful to have you all back in, and I'm really excited to share with you the big themes of this year. We are recording this session for good reason, because we are going to share it with you afterwards. But for those of you who I haven't had the privilege and honour of meeting, my name is Jodie Nunn. I'm the CEO here for Reconciliation WA, but I really do a shout out to my amazing team who wrap around this important work, and we'll be introducing you to them shortly. And we're here today to take you through the project. There is going to be, the program for 2026. There is going to be tons of time to answer questions, so at the end, so please just store your questions or pop them in the chat as we go through. So thank you, Cassie. I'll move to the next slide. So just so you get to know our team a little bit better, I do have to send apologies from Levi Islam, our Executive Manager for Cultural Engagement and Impact. Levi unfortunately is unwell today, but normally he gives us a beautiful acknowledgement and also talks a little bit to the power of reconciliation from an Aboriginal perspective. So we're wishing Levi a speedy recovery. But joining me today is Francine and Alicia. Francine is our General Manager for Members, Partners and Engagement, and Alicia, our General Manager of Communications, Marketing and Digital. So fantastic to have the team online. And Sarah Davis is our Reconciliation Lead, who's doing all the curation and design behind the scenes. So huge shout out to the team. I have to honour them. They do all the hard work, of course. And I really do acknowledge that this huge program is brought together by 12 people, which is phenomenal, really. So we always like to open these spaces by acknowledging we're on beautiful country here, Whadjuk country, and of the Noongar Nation, of course. And we are so honoured to do this work because we do it and we know we walk on the shoulders of giants. And we also know we have really important work to do, particularly if we look at the world right now, the polarisation and conflict that's taking place. We know that there is an answer to that, and that is reconciliation amongst all peoples. But of course, our vision is to make sure that first and foremost is between Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people across Western Australia and beyond. And we really do acknowledge Mob on the call, and I do want to do a big shout out, and particularly to my colleague Tracy Nignette, who I've had the privilege and pleasure of walking alongside since I started in this role, and who is obviously will be speaking to us in just a short moment. So we really acknowledge the Aboriginal people on the call, and we as allies have a big uplift to do to stand and walk in solidarity, particularly in National Reconciliation Week, but actually every day of the year. We know that National Reconciliation Week is all about lighting the fire in the bellies for the work we've got to do of the year ahead. But without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Tracy, who's the Executive Director of Strategic Partnerships and Engagement at the Department of Premier and Cabinet. Reconciliation WA is a partner with the department, and we really thank them for their support, which enables us to do this work. So over to you, Tracy.
Good morning. Hi. Nice to see everybody here online again this morning. It's remarkable how quickly Reconciliation Week rolls around, and just further reiterating Jodie's reflections around the important work that we do every day in this space around those relationships and working together to raise the voices of Aboriginal leadership and people is critical in terms of how we redress the balance somewhat in terms of the work we do, but also in terms of our own personal relationships and the opportunities we have for influence. So thank you all for joining us today. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we meet on the land of the Whadjuk Noongar people of the Greater Noongar Nation and pay our respects to elders past and present. I'd also like to acknowledge the countries and places from which you all join us today and pay my respects to your elders past and present. The criticality for all of us that I acknowledge daily in the work that I do, the challenges that we experience daily, are not lost on me, but I'm always minded of the footpaths and the biddies that I walk by virtue of my old people and what they have created and the way forward for me and the importance that we all must do in our work collectively. So I'm grateful for that opportunity every day. Encouraging to see so many people online today. Again, your presence reflects the shared commitment that we all have in terms of our learning, our leadership and action for reconciliation. So thank you again. And I'd just like to flag, we're very proud, the Department of Premier and Cabinet, of its partnership with Reconciliation WA. The partnership reflects our shared commitments and vision for what a unified and just society can look like for us more broadly. I think the other thing that I just wanted to flag to you all is this year's Reconciliation Week theme obviously is all in and is a clear call to action, and it asks us all as individuals, workplaces and governments to fully commit to reconciliation, to closing the gap and to Aboriginal empowerment, not partially and not symbolically, but all in. And we are very excited to be all in with you this year. So 2026 is an important moment, as Jodie reflected just a few moments ago. Across governments, there's a renewed energy and optimism around closing the gap commitments, a growing recognition that progress depends on genuine partnership and our shared accountability, and predominantly the importance of those Aboriginal-led solutions. That is the criticality of what we do well together. At the same time, we're also faced with moments that remind us why this work matters. The Boorloo Day event earlier this year was deeply confronting, and it highlighted that racism and division still exist and that reconciliation must be actively strengthened. So again, I just want to round back to our theme in terms of the importance of not stepping back in difficult times, but to lean in. I've always had a philosophy that says that our opportunity in leadership is about whether or not we're leaning in or leaning out, and we all lead from our positions regardless of what those positions may be. But I just want to reiterate the importance of that opportunity that we can all take. So Reconciliation must not stop when things get hard. At a government level, being all in means everyone as individuals and as part of the larger teams must look to work in partnership with Aboriginal people and communities. And all in means investing in culture, language and community-led solutions for now and the future. This is how lasting change happens. To me, the theme of National Reconciliation Week this year, all in, means embedding reconciliation and Aboriginal empowerment into everything we do, not just for the week, but all in, all year. We encourage you to get involved with the powerful program of events that Reconciliation WA have put together. Bring your colleagues in force and use the week to create momentum for change that lasts. I'd like to hand you back to Jodie and the team at Rec WA now, who will guide us through the events planned for National Reconciliation Week 26, and to just reiterate the importance and the opportunities that it creates for all of us together and collectively elevating the voices of Aboriginal people. So thank you all, and I'm looking forward to our time together over the coming weeks and months and our work that we can do proactively together. So thank you again.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Very wise words. And as you say, all in is a very, very powerful theme for this year. I can't think of a more important time with where the world's up to for us to lean into this space. But can I just bring your attention to a very important sub-message, and that is I'm in. So it's not always asking everyone to look at everyone else and rely on everyone else, but what is it that you can individually do? And I've been talking a lot and reflecting a lot about that we all have circles of influence, and that starts in our homes, with our families, our children, our friends, our networks. It expands into our communities, where we play sport, where we do art, where we create music, and then into our workplaces as to how we can have impact in a formal sense. So everyone can have their power to influence in multiple circles. So really reflect on that as we go through this presentation. And of course, it calls for every Australian to step off the sidelines and take daily active responsibility for reconciliation. It is about advancing Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people's rights. This isn't passive work, it never has been. We have been through our era of symbolic reconciliation, beautiful paintings, dual naming, showing up for the morning teas. This is where we need to focus on systems change. And I cannot think about a more important group of people to talk to that have the power to make change within the systems you work in and to challenge the status quo. Sometimes it's one voice that has to speak up that talks something into existence. Real change requires all of us, without guilt or shame, but with shared responsibility. And I reflect on even a rap launch I was at this morning with Monadelphius down on the Derbyl Yerrigan. You know, they said to us, you know, we want to walk in solidarity, we want to walk together, we want a better future for all West Australians. The generosity of Aboriginal people that keep calling us to the fire isn't lost on me. So let's seize that moment, let's seize that opportunity and do the heavy lifting that we need to do together. I want to introduce the wonderful artist this year, Bundjalung artist Otis Hope Carey. And first of all, I just love to see the young artists coming through and the different interpretations and how we present Indigenous art in a contemporary context. But it's called Gargle, and it's particularly special to me because I'm an ocean lover. For those of you who know me, I'm a big ocean swimmer. And I love the fact that this is ocean-based and it takes the ripples, tides, and the energetic rhythms of moving water and really sort of thinks about those concentric circles and the commitment to sharing culture, sparking meaningful conversations and symbolising collective movement towards change. I know water is a great healer generally, so I can't think of a more apt description and apt application of the thing for this year. So let's talk about when we say I'm in. That means we build the momentum together. And I don't want people to feel like that this is all on one person's shoulders. It never is. This is the power of creating a movement of change. And to Tracy's point, you know, the 26th of January, I hope it did for all of us, it shook me to my very core that in 2026 in Western Australia, a state with boundless opportunity, that we could be facing a terrorism attack on a sacred day for Aboriginal people. I think we all need to look deeply. Is that the society that we want to live in and accept? I certainly don't. And it's the work we do now to make sure these conversations don't show up in the next generation. So active participation is absolutely fundamental, and a commitment to stay engaged. We're also very committed, and you're going to hear a tone that's going to appear around regionalisation, to have regional voices and First Nations leadership centred in all spaces that we gather. We are also looking to really make sure this is accessible across, and we amplify that drive into meaningful community-led impact. And of course, most of you are in departments that will have regional footprints or connections, so please think about how this goes beyond the metro area and goes into your regional hubs. And we really want people to show up and say, I'm in, and think about individually and collectively how we can do this work together. So I know lots of us, and particularly government, have been very much focused on the journey towards 2029. And I will shout out that 2029 is not a year of celebration for Aboriginal people. It's a marker of a time when systemic oppression started happening. I reflect on the words of Uncle Richard Walley, where he says, you know, prior to colonisation, we had justice without jails, education without schools, health without hospitals, and he goes through a whole range of narrative that talks to, you know, a very healthy, rich and cultured and grounded society. And so we have much to learn on this journey. And I think 2029, whilst symbolic, gives us an opportunity to tell and understand our true history as a state, because we know when we know that, we're going to be better off for that. I had the absolute honour of doing a Churchill Fellowship a couple of years back, and I spent time in Nuremberg looking at the Nuremberg trials, which of course was the bastion of Nazi Germany at the time. And because of the truth-telling they had done and the education in their schools and making the concentration camps accessible, they've just now rebranded that city as the city of peace and human rights. And I often wonder what we could be if we owned our truth and stood in strength with our truth and moved forward to a different place. But we now go back to Albany, which of course this year is having an incredible year and has been very grounded in culture, with a Minang first approach of the Noongar people down there, and really sharing their local stories. And you're going to see Albany as a very strong flavour to this year's National Reconciliation Week. And each year we are going to be partnering with a region to showcase that region up until 2029. So we're really excited about the journey we're starting this year. We cannot do this work without our partners, and I'm going to do a big shout out to the state government, who is our lead partner. This is a year-round commitment that we work on together, but also equally our other partners that come on board and on this journey with us, including Lottery West, which I think I saw online. Welcome to the crew there. And a big shout out to a couple of new partners this year in the Perth Mint and Fremantle Ports. Wonderful to have them as part of our crew. We obviously had the breakfast down at Fremantle Ports last year, but when they reflected on their journey, they said it isn't just about hosting the breakfast, it's about our ongoing commitment to reconciliation. So they've chosen to step back in, which we thank them for. We also have some great partnerships with some local governments, including the City of Albany, with their reconciliation and bicentennial journey very much in play, and the Shire of East Pilbara. But a huge shout out to all our partners. We could not do this work without you. So let's get into the meat and potatoes. This is the event program for 2026. This is an enabling program, so you can take component parts of this and design programs for your organisations. So at a snapshot, before we do that, we want to make sure that we really do reflect on the impacts of the 26th of January, the first terrorism attack that's happened in this state. And so it's not lost on us that for a number of mob, coming to community gatherings at the moment is quite confronting. And the safety, security and respect for Aboriginal people during National Reconciliation Week this year is absolutely paramount. And I just need to plant that seed with all of you and encourage us all to think about the respect piece fundamentally, that create environments that are deeply respectful and thoughtful to Aboriginal people, and acknowledge the impact that is playing out still from the 26th of January. For us at Reconciliation WA, we're taking this very seriously. We're making sure with all our event locations that we ensure proper security across those, and that cultural safety and security are very much embedded. We're working in partnership with WA Police, and we've been engaging with them early to make sure there's community safety in all aspects of what we're doing. And we will make sure there's best practice and safety approaches across all our activities. So I do acknowledge the impact it's had, but please walk gently with mob who may not be ready to re-engage. And there's a very good reason why that is the case, but make your events safe, secure and respectful. So let's do a very high level fly through the program. And this year we have a commitment to transforming National Reconciliation Week to make it more year round. And there's a good reason for that, which I'll explain as we go through. But we always start the week acknowledging our friends at Yokai and bringing them home WA, representing the Stolen Generations with their program that they host annually down at Wellington Square at Mort Aquadeni, which is the beautiful site created in memory of Stolen Generations. Please support them, really, really important event. And then we move through to, on the Wednesday, the 27th of May, our NRW breakfast. And of course, we always shout out that the 27th of May is the anniversary of the 1967 referendum. I feel a little bit heartbroken that we don't have an anniversary celebration for our more recent referendum, but we move on. And then the 3rd of June, of course, is the end point for National Reconciliation Week, is Mabo Day. So two really important bookends to the week. This year, the breakfast will be going to Boorloo, Kinjarling, Albany, and also we have our biggest watch party in near Parley Country up in Newman, and we'll talk those through shortly. Those formats are both in person and online. We have Reconciliation Memoirs on the 28th of May back at Hackett Hall at Bullabardup. And then into the green, we will be doing our Walk for Reconciliation in October, because many of you will recall last year the heavens opened and we had to delay our walk, and then we hosted it in Canberra and thought, that's quite a good idea really, isn't it? One, it takes the pressure off you all having to show up to multiple events during National Reconciliation Week, and we benefit from the weather gods also. So a little bit more about that shortly. And then finally, we have our powerful Pathways to Truth program heading to Kinjarling down in Albany in November. So let's get going on a deep dive of each of those program elements. We've talked to Sorry Day, which is, of course, hosted in Wellington Square. This is, I think, incredibly powerful event this year, a year on from Redress being announced at the National Reconciliation Week breakfast in 2025, an incredible moment in time. I do a huge, whilst the announcement was made at our breakfast, I do a huge shout out that the lifting and heavy work done by Yokai and bringing them home, and also the Kimberley Stolen Generation Association, need to be acknowledged for all their work over many years. And I know the team at DPC have been working overtime to implement the redress program. So it's a very, I think, powerful day this year that will be acknowledging. And then we go to our breakfast, which I know many of you will be looking forward to. We return this year to the Optus Stadium for our in-person event. So we'll have about 1,100 people in the room acknowledging the power and importance of being all in for reconciliation. I will say tickets are booking very fast. We've got over half of our tables already sold. So please, 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 an action from today. If you're wanting to come in person, I suggest you get online and get booking quickly. You will be getting some follow-up comms afterwards to help you link to those booking information. If you're not a member, tickets go on sale on Friday for you. So there will still be tables available, but of course, being a member means you get a better price. The doors open at 7:30, but live stream is going live from 9. So those who are doing watch parties, it will be a 9 o'clock start, and you can create your events in situ, which Francine's going to walk you through in a minute. We have got our partnership again with NITV SBS On Demand. If you can't do your watch party at that exact time, do not fear, because it'll be on SBS On Demand very shortly afterwards, and you can screen it right throughout the week or beyond. So there's flexibility into how you can design your watch party. I think it's always nice to do it live, but if you can't, it doesn't mean you miss out. Of course, we start on the state's bicentennial journey with a focus on the Great Southern this year, and that'll be framed through a beautiful series of truth-telling, working with Elder Kim Scott down there, and looking at the story of first contact of Minang people on the Noongar Budja down there. The truth-telling and healing is absolutely a feature of this year's program, and we want to be place-based in our storytelling. And of course, there'll be a wonderful range of cultural performances, an education feature, regional voices, and community perspectives woven throughout the morning. In relation to our MCs, I know people who were at our breakfast last year will be delighted to see Tremaine Baxter-Edwards will be returning. He was our Now to Next, he was our next speaker, and you may recall Tremaine wants to be the first PM of Australia, Indigenous PM of Australia, and he's got my vote already. A wonderful young leader, currently a ranger up at El Cresto Station and also doing his business degree online. What a smart fellow. But absolutely grounding himself in culture, although he did tell me the other day he'd had over 60 flights to Canberra this year. So he's very much in demand and a wonderful young leader, based out of Wyndham originally, but doing work on country. And he's partnering with Carla Hart, the wonderful Carla Hart, who's a Minangorring woman. Of course, we wanted to honour people. She's a Bremer Bay local. And so we've got the top and the tail of the state hosting us as RMCs, and two wonderful Aboriginal leaders that are really doing exceptional work in both of their fields. So we look forward to welcoming them back. And the star of the show is the wonderful Narelda Jacobs. Last year when we researched and asked you who you'd like to be hear from as a keynote, Narelda was exploded off the top of the list. So we heard your feedback and we invited Narelda to come and be our keynote, and she will be joining us. We know her well as the anchor of Network 10 News, but of course she has a broad range of experiences over NITV, SBS and ABC, and she's also a massive advocate for equity, equality, diversity and inclusion. So really looking forward to having our local Narelda back on Noongar Budja and hearing her keynote. A very special feature of this year's Brekkie is the choir. Now, we all know in state government you've got fabulous singing voices, so here's a really great one to engage your communities. Tracy Ninette might lead the DPC choir, I think, but this year's Voices for Reconciliation song is Beds Are Burning by Midnight Oil. Thank you, Peter Garrett has given licensing over for us to be able to play this song as part of National Reconciliation Week. But wait, there is more. Not only can you do a choir within your department, it's a great way to get people rallying around, or in your community organisation or wherever you could see this showing up. We are also forming the Reconciliation WA choir, and we're looking for 60 fabulous crooners. One of my staff members yesterday asked me what a crooner was, and I had a giggle saying, I've just shown my age really, haven't I? Anyway, 60 wonderful singers to close out National Reconciliation Week breakfast by singing Beds Are Burning with us. So that will be the closeout to this year's breakfast. So we do have an expression of interest form online in the information we send. So you'll be getting that and you can register. You will need to do some rehearsals, and local Noongar man Kobe Morrison will be leading that choir for us. So we're very excited about that. But also, please, you can do that in your own departments as well. I reckon it'll be a fantastic one to get all the lungs open at lunchtime. Then we're heading to the regions. This year we have a hosted breakfast in Albany at the Albany Entertainment Centre, same time as the Perth breakfast. This breakfast we're actually hosting for free because we want to fill the house. There's 550 seats at the Albany Entertainment Centre. We want that jammed full because we acknowledge that this is, of course, the start of the bicentennial journey for the state. We want the truth-telling themes that will be permeating throughout the breakfast to be heard first and foremost by people in community. We are honouring the Minangorring elders as part of the breakfast, and we'll also, most excitedly, be launching Australia's first place-based rap. We've been working with the Minangorring people and the community down in Albany for the last 3 years to produce this rap, and we are launching the pilot rap at the National Reconciliation Week breakfast in Albany, and I'm so delighted. We've done this work in partnership with Reconciliation Australia and the whole community down there, and I'm so delighted this is perfectly timing to this breakfast. So if you have any team members or footprints down in the Great Southern, please, we are doing this for free because we want the house full. Please register for some tickets for that event and get your teams along to provide support. Big shout out to the City of Albany too, who are supporting that event. So we're also heading up, with thanks to the support of BHP and the Shire of East Pilbara, to be broadcasting live into the community square. Last year we had about 600 people join from Newman, and also all the schools come online. So again, if you have any teams in Newman, we'd love to welcome them to the town square. Now, these are ones that are supported by corporates, but of course your department, you can not only think about internally around your watch parties, but what about your stakeholder groups and other groups that you have influence over, to bring them in and really embed your relationships with those organisations you work with. Again, it'll be a wonderful free breakfast up in Newman, and it's always nice and toasty up there. You can usually get your tan improved in that hour out in the sunshine on beautiful Pilbara country. One really important element for this year is you may have heard of the powerful work happening by Travis Lovett, which is he's based out of Naarm. He was one of the commissioners on the Europe Justice Commission, and he is doing a national walk for truth. The National Walk for Truth lands in Canberra on the morning of the breakfast, and he will be doing a shout out to the West Australian breakfast and inviting us all to support a call for a national truth-telling approach and a commitment to that. He's going to be delivering this beautiful Booker skin and a letter to the Prime Minister, and he's going to be doing that walking from Naarm to Canberra. And Travis was in Western Australia a couple of weeks ago. He wanted to come over and check on Mob after the 26th of January and make sure everyone was travelling okay and to share this important work. So we're working closely with Travis. Now, his walk is independent from our walk, but we are acknowledging his walk and supporting it, and you'll be hearing from him on his journey between Naarm and Canberra, and we'll be talking to him on the road. So we're really excited to feature that as part of our breakfast this year. Now I'm going to hand over to Francine, who is a wizard at creativity of how you could potentially build your events and engage your community. So over to you, Francine.
Thanks, Jodie and Kai, everyone. It's great to see so many of you online today. I'm keen to know how you can be all in for reconciliation. So what we're going to just quickly talk through is ways that you can activate your state government agency and also your circles of influence to make sure that everybody is able to turn up and say, I'm in for reconciliation. So we've popped up on the screen there just a couple of ideas, and of course these will be shared with you afterwards. But I think the most important one is the whole of government approach to how you'd like to activate NRW this year. It can set the tone for the entire state when they see all the state government agencies leaning in and being responsive and inclusive in their NRW platforms. So we ask you to consider ways that you can not only attend our events, but you can really build the momentum behind the watch parties that we have available. As Jodie has talked about, the breakfast is streamed live through SBS and NITV on demand. So there's absolutely so many ways you can either stream it as live as we're doing it, or you can host it at a later time. We'd like you to consider how you can really build that momentum from remote and regional opportunities and how you can empower each other or work collaboratively. A lot of you work from the same buildings. There might be multiple agencies across all those floors at 140. So instead of having one agency running an event on one level, you can come together and really utilise that space to build momentum and engagement across your teams. Consider how you can partner with your local ACOs or with your stakeholders or with your advisory committees and co-design an event which really brings the voice of Aboriginal people and the relationships that you're building to the forefront and allows them to engage and connect with your team internally. Of course, state government has this beautiful opportunity to activate your state-owned spaces or spaces you lease or you partner with. So consider about ways that you can utilise those facilities. Can you light up Parliament House? Can you drop banners down from 140? Can you look at ways that you can really show the messaging and the theme at all of your venues and locations to really build that momentum and show the state that we're all in for reconciliation? Of course, you've got libraries, you've got civic centres, community centres, and they're great for ways that you can host yarning circles, you can host organisational events, you can build that connectivity and amplify the engagement across your team. We'd also like you to consider ways that you can network with early education right through to secondary and TAFEs and universities. I can see we've got some TAFEs online here as well, to build that support amongst your stakeholders and your relationships with educators, staff and students to amplify the message and provide an opportunity for everybody to say, I'm in and ready to support National Reconciliation Week. So some other ways that you can look at building and amplifying that approach is for when you're hosting your watch parties. We might just quickly pop to that next screen. Is of course there's a themed morning tea. Now we keep that up there because we know that that's the default and the fallback. Everybody likes to host a morning tea and get their cupcakes with a little flag probably on it, or the I'm in insignia design. But let's think about how we can be a little bit more creative. Can you host a reflection circle? Can you invite your staff and colleagues to all lean in and share some reflections about what National Reconciliation Week means to them, what reconciliation means to them, and how they can show their commitment all year round? Can you engage with the community and the public in your spaces and say, let's look at ways we can invite our colleagues, our friends, our stakeholders, and the organisations that we work with to build upon that theme and say, I'm in for reconciliation. You can have an interactive display where people can walk in, they can show their commitment by completing a reconciliation card, and they can ask questions and be engaged. We encourage you to consider how you can utilise Black business in these spaces. So can you work with enterprises like Fish, Magabala, and purchase some books or some other merchandise or learning resources that encourage not only your staff but the general community to feel connected and engaged and understanding the greater story. So really be creative around those watch parties. And of course, if you can do nothing more than doing exactly what we're doing now, there's over 100 of us now, right now, watching online. So you can play this in the background whilst you're at your work if you can't leave the office, if someone says they're too busy, and still be connected and I'm in. And you could provide them a little toolkit at their workstation, which gives them a bit of an understanding of the week about how they can show up for reconciliation and how they can build their engagement and show their support. There's ways that you can also invite your Aboriginal staff to potentially have a mob-only session if they would like to and share their reflections on how it is to work in state government and how they build that connectivity and collaboration, but also how they can lean in and support everybody with their learning and education. And we encourage you to make sure you know what budget you're working on and who your ACOs are and who your traditional owners are for your offices and locations so that you can invite elders and Aboriginal community members to join you. We really want to see that there's this great commitment and momentum across the state to build with the theme of I'm in for reconciliation. So we encourage you to consider all of those different ways that you can spotlight any local connections you've got, language, culture, learning, and make sure that it's as inclusive and as family friendly as possible. So there's so many different opportunities to engage with artists, to engage with local suppliers and with First Nations storytellers to amplify your event and have real impact. So yeah, please get your thinking caps on, and if anyone does have any questions, I'm here to help. Jodie, back to you.
Thank you, Francine. Actually, it reminded me, we went to a wrap launch this morning and it was an early start, but they invited everyone to bring their children and they had some dancing and performances there. I thought it was such a lovely touch that their kids were also included. So just a nice little bright idea. Okay, we now move on to the next Beyond the Breakfast, which is our wonderful Reconciliation Memoirs program. And this year we're absolutely delighted to welcome June Oscar. June is no stranger to many of you, a Barnaba woman from up in the beautiful Fitzroy Crossing. We had our wonderful author, Vicky Laurie, up there last week, who had to exit very quickly because the river was rising very fast and she was going to get cut off. So the practical realities of living up on the Fitzroy. We have been doing this series since 2022, and of course we featured Fred Cheney, Richard Wally, Carol Innes, our previous co-chair, and of course last year Patrick Dodson. This year June Oscar joins us, and I can't think of a more important person as just stepping off as Social Justice Commissioner at the Australian Human Rights Commission. June is a giant in the reconciliation space. Your ticket, this is again an in-person and online live stream. Those of you who want to attend in person, it'll include a light supper and also a copy of the memoir. I do really encourage you to think about using this as a cultural learning opportunity. You can purchase past copies of the book. We also have the memoirs online. You can look back at previous copies of or previous versions of the memoirs. Pat Dodson's last year is still on SBS On Demand, so you can access that. These are really great corporate gifts to these books if you want to get the 5 set. So we're really, really delighted that June's joining this incredibly powerful group of leaders that we've managed to capture their stories and their experiences of many generations of reconciliation. Then we go to our walk, which of course we have now put forward to beautiful Camarine season. So this year we'll be meeting on the 22nd of October. We return back to Boorloo, and we are going to be gathering up on the 22nd of October. Of course, being a walk, this is an in-person event. But we are really honing into the walk for truth. And it's amazing as we've sat down with elders and listened to the stories of Katakumba, of Kings Park. There are so many stories of that place, both positive and negative. There's been periods where Aboriginal people haven't been allowed into Kings Park. There's multiple names for Kings Park. They have different meanings. They've been a whole range of purposes that the park has been used for. So this is going to be a walk of truth, like we did at Gallup last year, which was hugely successful. We're going to have a walk of truth in Katakumba. So we thank the Botanic Gardens and Parks Authority who are working in partnership with us on that. Right now, because this event is quite a way away, we are asking people to register their interest to an EOI. And once we have the construct of the walk worked, and we will be doing waves again this year, because we of course want to work gently on Buddha and not stomp on any plants. So we will be announcing those waves, and there will be a wave for schools and education organisations, as well as for the main population. So please register your interest, which will include how many people and what department you're from, and an address where we are ready to announce bookings. We will round back to those people who have registered. So looking forward to welcoming you all to that walk. Of course, we are also going to walk again in Gilbarrat down in Bunbury. We have been supporting this walk and the City of Bunbury and Yakadanju events for the last 3 years. It's a beautiful walk. So again, if you have team members down in Bunbury, please encourage them to attend this walk. Again, we're asking for registrations of interest. It's a beautiful walk around Kumbana Bay with many cultural performances and activities engaged. So a great way to bring your team together to walk in solidarity. And then to finish off the year, we head back down to Kinjalling to Albany, and this is part of the deliverables of our place-based RAPT, is to do a Pathways to Truth in Albany, and really to start a journey towards 2029, where we're committed to doing a truth journey and landing in 2029 with an International Truth Forum in Perth. We are speaking this into existence. Because we think it's absolutely fundamental as we go past 2029 and into 2030 that we have a very different narrative as a state than we have for the last 200 years. And we can only do that work if we know our dual history and we understand the impacts of colonisation, not from a deficit perspective. It's acknowledging what's happened, but taking those learnings and moving forward from in a position of strength. So we're in Albany. Albany have, sorry, Cassie, if I could just pop back one slide, please. We're in Albany, and the mob have asked us down there to have one day allocated to mob yarns and their own cultural healing and cultural work. As we know, a lot of impact of stolen generation in the Great Southern with many mission sites there. So a lot of Aboriginal people have had dislocation from culture. So this is an opportunity for healing and sharing with a mob day. And then there'll be a community day on the 26th of November. So we're really looking forward to bringing that to you. There is a partnership between the National Centre for Reconciliation, Truth and Justice, Murdoch University and Yokai, and also really important partnerships with Mob on the ground there, and we will be very much co-designing and listening to their voices as we bring this program to life. Again, please register your interest in this event, and I really encourage you to use this as a really key learning opportunity for your teams. Right, now we're going to talk about getting activated, how you can use all of these elements and what else we've got for you within our digital and marketing kits to help you plan. So I'm going to hand it back to Francine, who will start to share with you. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to walk through all these exciting ways. You've heard the program. As we spoke about, you'll be getting that through to you soon. So I know you're all going to give us a bit of a cheer or a thumbs up using that react icon because you're excited as we are. But before we get into the next steps, I am just going to quickly pay acknowledgement to Melissa Sunfly, who was our National Reconciliation Week Street Banners Project artist. Each year we proudly display these banners during National Reconciliation Week at sites all across the state, both here in Boorloo, where there's a very loud City of Perth presence, as well as regionally. Melissa is an emerging Aboriginal artist, a proud Kakasha Ngāti woman up from the north, and her Marumpa artwork this year, which is absolutely visually stunning, will be seen flying high during National Reconciliation Week all across the state. Now, unfortunately, banner sales for that have closed, so if your department, agency or GTE missed out, please mark this date in your calendar next year so you can make sure you get in early to secure your site and show your support and commitment for reconciliation. However, the artwork will be featured, and Alicia will talk to that a little bit later on a number of merchandise and other assets, so you can still lean in and show your support for this emerging Aboriginal artist. The work that we do for National Reconciliation Week takes a whole village to get the work done, and we can't do that without not only our partners, and as Jodie alluded to, there's many of those on the call today, as long as one potential, who hopefully will get back to us soon, but also we love the opportunity to provide volunteering work for you all. So we know that most of you have graduate programs, and this is an incredible opportunity to get your graduates involved and engaged in reconciliation and understand those opportunities. Plus, there's obviously general volunteering opportunities for any of your staff. So if you're keen to be involved and show that you're all in for volunteering and National Reconciliation Week, please reach out to me at members@recwa.org.au and we can have a chat about how we can be engaged. And just a reminder, that's not just only on the day or on the day of events. If you've got a skill set, or you've got graduates, or you've got people within your team or networks that can help us with event management, with marketing, with communications, with videography, so many other different ways, we welcome expressions of interest and inquiries for all volunteering, both in the lead up to National Reconciliation Week and as we transform it and move out of it. So please do get in touch with me. Okay, so we obviously have on the call now a number of dedicated members. Now, if you're not sure if your member organisation, and I will come to that soon, or your state government agency is a member, please reach out to me, because we'd love to make sure all of you are actually members of Reconciliation WA. But for those agencies on the call that are, you'll receive an exclusive digital toolkit where you can proudly share this on your socials, showing that your agency is a member of Reconciliation WA and all in for reconciliation. Currently, as Jodie's mentioned, we do have early bird registrations available to our members, and those ticket prices are discounted for the for the paid events, and the free events you just have early access to register. As you're planning your events, and I saw that Jamie popped into the chat that DPLH has got some great engagement going. If you'd like to consider having someone from RWA attend or support those events, please reach out to me wherever possible. As part of your membership, we like to support your events. And that's both in the lead up to National Reconciliation Week and as we transform it all year round as we move out. We're also really keen to profile and share your great news stories and events in our newsletters. We have an incredible opportunity called Activating All In Sessions. So our members can join me and the rest of the team online, and we can talk through other ways that you can stay engaged, and you can talk about some hurdles you might be having, or we can talk about how we can support you in making sure that your state government agency or GTE is all in. And of course, there'll be a great little handy email coming out to you, your I'm In edition newsletter, sharing all of these tips and tricks and tools and trades, as well as some great Aboriginal businesses you can reach out to support you in activating your events. So we've talked a little bit about what it means to be a member. You can also be an individual supporter of reconciliation. So your membership doesn't necessarily have to be tied to your agency. So if you are a personal member here, thank you. You will receive a kit shortly in the post, which will have on there a social tile that as an individual member you can share. You'll receive a fantastic little bookmark, which is a Cadishan and Learning bookmark. So that'll show you some little information that you can share around your dinner table or within your circle of influence. And the incredible 2026 pin that Alicia will talk to soon, which is designed by Clothing the Gaps, you will receive as an individual member as well. For the agencies that are member online, you'll also receive an activation kit. So just going back to, you'll get that resource pack, you'll get a bookmark, and you'll get some lanyards, which you can share with your team and have them profiled all throughout the office. And they're just these nice little handy ways that we thank you for being a member of Reconciliation WA, but also help you with your engagement and support across your team. Okay, so now we have talked about what all the great offers and ways that we can help you. A big change this year is the NRW t-shirts. In previous years, we have supplied these to members, and we've listened to your feedback about sustainability and climate change and over-consumerism, and how you want to be able to wear a t-shirt for more than just one day or a couple of days of a week. So what we're going to do this year is provide you with the resource so you can download the artwork from the website, and then you can take that artwork to your current supplier, or you can utilise one of the incredible Aboriginal-owned businesses that do this work, and you can design a t-shirt that you can then co-brand with your agency or with your reconciliation message, or add it to an existing t-shirt or design that you had. So therefore, you're being able to wear this all-in message all year round, and it's bespoke to what your organisation or your agency might need. So that's a great opportunity for you to think creatively about how you'd like to design this year's t-shirt if you'd like to go with one. So I've talked a little bit about the benefits of membership and about how we move forward. And before I come to that, I'm going to pass back over to Alicia, who's going to talk you through the digital toolkit that Marcom's team's put together and the merchandise.
Thank you, Francine and Kaya, everyone. It's really lovely to connect with you all today. So the National Reconciliation Week Digital Kit is our free all-in-one resource to help every West Australian organisation, school and community group plan their NRW activities. So this will launch in early April, and it's designed to make participation simple, meaningful and accessible. So there'll be guides, templates, media assets, those t-shirt files, and some really great reconciliation action cards ready for you guys to use across any events or workplace events that you're having. Also, again, this year, we're really excited to launch from Monday, the 26th of May. We'll be inviting people from across WA to help launch NRW with a shared digital acknowledgement of country. And this is really a unifying way to honour traditional owners and recognise ongoing connection to country. You can record your own creative, and we encourage that as like a video, or maybe it's a social tile, or you're very welcome to use a template in the digital kit if you'd like some support getting started. Again, this year, Reconciliation Australia have done a wonderful job and have translated resources which are available in 10 different languages. That really is to help make NRW more accessible for culturally and linguistically diverse communities right across the state. And our 2026 merchandise range is nearly here. It launches in mid-April. We're very excited. It features that beautiful artwork from Melissa Sunfly, which you saw earlier from our National Reconciliation Week street banners. And that collection includes some really cool Clothing the Gap pins, some message cards, lanyards, and a cute little pack of notepads. And just to mention that they're all at really accessible price points. For organisations on the webinar today, these are ideal for your events, conferences, or even corporate gifting throughout the year. And it's a really simple way to show that you're all in for reconciliation. Now, I just want to do a quick shout out to the educators on the webinar today. If we have you joining us, please pop your email in the chat and we can send you some specific educator resources, including classroom ready materials and guidance to support your school community during NRW. All right, Francine, I'll hand back to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Alicia, and hang in there with us. We're on our homeward stretch, everybody. So just a quick fly through. There's some other great resources available to you, and we've recently partnered with agencies including DPLH, DPC, Lagers, Wolga, and Lottery West to deliver Kolbang Yanjing, which is the local government reconciliation resource. However, for state government agencies, it's a wealth of knowledge and information to support you on your reconciliation journey. So we do encourage you to check out that resource, and particularly if I can spotlight the interactive map we spoke about earlier, how important it is to know what traditional country you're on, what budja you're walking on, but also who to engage with in terms of traditional owners and Aboriginal organisations. And that map is going to help you do that. So please have a look at that straight after this call. There's also some case studies, which helps you with best practices and ways that you can connect and engage. And it's just a fabulous resource. And we're so grateful to the support of state government, DPC and DPLH and Lagers for delivering that resource. So just before we wrap up and we throw to any questions, we've mentioned a few times some of the incredible benefits of being a member, and I cannot highlight enough how important it is to join the movement. We would love to see every single state government agency as members of Reconciliation WA. Particularly through the recent public sector reforms, you might have moved into different departments and you're not quite sure now if your organisation or your department is a member. Please reach out to me and consider how you can become a paid member of Reconciliation WA and attend all of these incredible offerings we've got on the stream. We host monthly masterclasses, programs to deepen your knowledge. We connect you not only interagency and across the sectors, but also with other organisations across this great state doing great work. You obviously get early bird access to NRW and lots of other ways that we can support internally the work that you're doing. And it's a great way for you as state government agencies to stand up and say, I'm all in for reconciliation for 365 days of the year, and I'm committed to the work that we're doing across the state. So finally, we know that tickets are on sale now for our members at an early bird price. So if you haven't received that email and you think you're a member, again, just give me a quick email after this call and I'm happy to help. But for those of you online that are non-members, they go on sale on this Friday, the 27th of March at 10 a.m. So pop that into your diary. I suggest you be voice note of Beds Are Burning Us the song to remind you, because they will sell quickly and we want to make sure that as much as possible we have representation from government agencies attending these events. But please do know that even if you can't attend the in-person events, we really want you to register your watch parties and your engagement that you might be doing remote and regional to make it inclusive. So please do make sure come Friday you're all jumping online and registering the events and engagements that you're going to be doing across this incredible state of ours. We've made it to the end. We're going to open it up now to see if anybody has any questions. Please just either raise your little hand using the icon or type a message into chat. I know there's been a couple already that have come through chat. So obviously Jamie's mentioned that they're hosting something at DPLH. Nikki, I think I'd already communicated with you before, but yep, the tickets in Albany are free, but we do need you to register for those. But if anyone's got any questions, the volunteer contact, Jenny, I'll pop that into the chat for you. But please, if you've got any questions, pop your hand up, pop them into the chat, and we'll do our best to get back to you as efficiently as we can.
And of course, thank you very much, Francine, and thanks everyone for hanging in there. Can I do a big shout out too that, of course, Eleanor asked a very, very important question. Do you have to be a good singer to join the choir? I think the great thing about choirs is that you can hide your singing sins within a group. So if you have a big heart and want to get involved, please do. I think the volunteer contact's been shared now, so members at recchoir.org.au. So we look forward to welcoming anybody that would like to volunteer. We need volunteers for both the breakfast and the walk, and any other brilliant skills we might tap into you having as well. So, but folks, of course, if you do need to, thanks Avril, great to see you guys. Thank you. We appreciate you coming along from Keystart. But any questions you have, guys, we are online, of course, all the time to service you. And we very much look forward to supporting you on your journey. A reminder that all our events, mostly other than walks, are usually are online, but we do have those, of course, focal areas in the regions as well. And a reminder too that a lot of your cultural organisations like museums, art galleries often do tune in. I know the WA Museum has a whole range of fantastic interactive resources that you can tune in and do specific programs for National Reconciliation Week. So if you do want to extend your experience, please support those other organisations that get behind as well. Absolute pleasure, Robert. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Francine. So folks, if there's no questions, feel free to jump off, and we'd love to just get your feedback as you jump out with a reaction, if you loved it, if you liked it, if it was helpful. We really do appreciate it. Oh, that's very nice of you guys. Thank you very much. We do try and have big conversations at this time of the year. So we really appreciate you tuning in. Tracy, I'm not sure if there's anything else you would like to wrap up with, but we really appreciate everyone making the time today.
Thanks, everyone. Looking forward to all the opportunities that we'll present over coming weeks and months, as I said previously. And thank you to the Rec WA team for the remarkable job you do every year. It's greatly appreciated.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tracy. Have a great day, everyone. You get 4 minutes of your life back. We really appreciate you taking the time. We'll see you during National Reconciliation Week, if not before.